we're going to be demonstrating our project with using Google Cloud Storage. We have our sensors hooked up here. We're currently reading the proximity and the light, as well as the temperature and relative humidity and the accelerometer. All of those are uploaded to the Firestore. As seen here, we're able to select some of the options for for how that is uploaded. For instance, you see here it's currently under Christopher Trafton as our user, and we can see when it was last updated. So if we go over here, we see our user interface to be able to select our user. Right now it's Chris T, but if I click it, it can be Justice or it can be Dr. Grissom. So we'll test Justice for now. And then it's currently going every 5 seconds, but we could change that interval to be 30 seconds or 120 seconds as well. And then we have the ability to send the temperature as well as the humidity or the proximity. So we'll take the average from Justice's profile. This screen takes in data from the Firestore, and then we can average it over the last 5 seconds. So the temperature data over the last 5 seconds. And then we pulled that from the database, and we're able to see the temperature average over the last 5 seconds and the timestamp for when that was pulled, and the timestamp for when the data was captured and uploaded. So we can go back, we can change to Dr. Grissom, we can change over the last 30 seconds, and we can do the humidity. We can average that. It will pull from the Firestore and from the database, and it should give us the data we're looking for averaged out. And there we can see the humidity over the last 30 seconds was averaged out, and it's time stamped, and then we have the epoch for the capture and upload time.
Okay, so here we have our Firestore. Here you can see that originally we had the Chris T user ID that we are having upload data and stuff. But over in on the M5, when we switch the user ID, we can also switch it and upload different data. So now we can upload data for Grissom, and here we have all the different data for Grissom being uploaded. And same thing would have happened if we swapped to Justice's user ID. All right, so here's the code we have for it. We really butchered it this time around. So here we have all of our data and stuff defined, yada yada, and our function declarations. But going to where the real changes were made here, if we look in the loop, we can see that we're using our touch X and Y for all the functionality for our buttons. So first off, we have our bottom left button, which switches to the fetch mode and like the downloading the data. And then we have the bottom right button, which switches to the upload mode, where it uploads data to the Google Cloud. And then we also have, these are our buttons for when we are in fetch mode. It'll be the top left button, which changes the user ID and cycles between the three. We have the middle button, which cycles through the 3 different time intervals. And then we have the right button, which cycles through the 3 different data types. And then the button at the bottom, which is the average button, that once you click it, then it does the call to the Google Cloud function and pulls the data from the Firestore. And then with that, we have this millis every 5 seconds. It just redraws whatever screen it's on, whether that's the fetch mode, the download screen, or else it's doing upload normally. So if it is doing upload normally, then we have it reading all of the data and all the values from the sensors. I have it in here just so it's not constantly pinging and pulling from the sensors. So it only reads from the sensors every 5 seconds, and it only does that right before it's going to upload the data. So it's not just like wasting the sensors. And then it uploads it. So if we look to where we change the code, if we look in the HTTP get with headers, when we're uploading, this is where we're drawing all the upload UI. So yeah, This is where we are taking all of our sensor readings and pretty much just printing them to the screen. All these sensor readings were already read before and all set up earlier in the main loop. And then if we look at the HTTP receive JSON, and this is the code that runs this is what we use when we call to the Google Cloud function to pull Firestore data. So yeah, we're parsing through the data right now for the 3 different data types, and then we're printing it all to the screen, and depending on what data type we have selected, that decides which data type is printed to the screen. And then our data fetch screen, that's the screen where we're actually changing and cycling through the different data types and user IDs and where there's the average button and whatnot. So here you can see where we're just drawing the rectangles and the text for all of that. And then the actual logic for the buttons for all these are all up here in the main loop itself, which I showed earlier.